Meanwhile, NATO summit again, dear friends, in Netherlands, in Hague. We have this report that Trump intends to meet with Zelensky on June 25th, that is today, at the NATO summit in Hague. Originally, this information was shared by political media outlet, but this morning I see number of other media outlets that were reporting about this matter. So most likely they will be meeting between Trump and Zelensky, and knowing how much Trump loves to brag about things, well, he might make yet another aggressive, hostile statements towards Russia. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if in upcoming days, by the way, rhetoric from US officials will become further aggressive towards Russia, and if they will also begin to adopting this draft law that they have about sanctions on Russia and on Russian partner states with some 500% tariffs and so on. Well, if they will go ahead with that, of course, that will harm a U.S. economy, first of all, and U.S. consumers. But yet again, Western ruling class, their assets in governing positions already demonstrated a million times that they don't care about ordinary people, by the way. They just don't, right? So I expect a significant escalation, by the way, between Washington and Moscow. And probably today we will see some indicators, additional indicators of that. TASS News Agency is also saying that, well, Trump also intends to, not just to meet Zelensky, but also to make a deal with Russia. But this is all nonsense, right? This is all nonsense. I don't think there is anybody in Russian leadership, literally anybody, at this point in Russian leadership that has even that can trust Trump or his administration even for a second. But trust is absolutely absent in relationships between Russia and US, in relationships with Russia and the collective West countries in general, and this would not change, by the way, for decades to come. It would not change because I see no realistic ways how societies in the Western countries will manage to reclaim their own countries, and to build up a new decent elites there, including political elites. So therefore, Western world gonna be run by very same type of people that it is run by now, which means that there can be no trust between Russia and the collective West countries for decades and decades to come, right? There might be some communication and there some talks, but it's just a waste of time. That's all, really. And on the very topic of absence of trust towards the West, statement was made by Foreign Minister of Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov, who is probably, I would not be mistaken to say that one of the most informed persons in this world, right? So Russia needs cast iron guarantees on Ukraine. In the case of West, trust but verify principle is not enough. This was stated by the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov speaking at the 11th International Scientific and Expert Forum Primakov Readings. To what extent can, and we have quote from Lavrov's statements there, by the way, to what extent can we trust the West? Lavrov is asking. I believe that even former US President Ronald Reagan's formula of trust but verify is insufficient. He said, we can verify in different ways. We can verify by agreeing in some agreements on mechanisms for verification, their implementation of the agreements. We can verify through special services, both political and military intelligence. Their SVR, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, as you know, actively monitors actions that directly harm the Russian Federation. But we will have to think about it. We will need cast iron guarantees on Ukraine, of course, enshrined in their Security Council resolution. Although, I repeat, the West can do anything, the Security Council has already trampled on these guarantees many times. So even while saying that Russia needs iron cast iron guarantees, and enshrined in the Security Council, same time Lavrov is also saying that you know what, even that might be somewhat not enough, because West already demonstrated many times that they don't care about international law whatsoever, right? Including about Security Council and its decisions, right? Lavrov noted that West has proven incapable of reaching agreement, not for the first time in history, which is absolutely true. And we have another quote from Lavrov. One of the most striking examples is the so-called Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, when Hitler needed to better prepare for war against Soviet Union, which he did. Now, and I remind you, dear friends, that this so-called Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was signed between Moscow and Berlin before Great Patriotic War began, and this pact was about non-attacking each other between the countries, and Germany obviously used this pact to better prepare, basically, its Plan Barbarossa, right? And to attack Soviet Union. So it's a factual. Now to the Minsk agreements, which Germany, among others, guaranteed to sign, were also used to prepare for war against Russian Federation. And also true, isn't it? From Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact to Minsk agreements, Western countries were always trying to use these diplomatic agreements as a tool of deception. They were simply lying, and therefore they cannot be trusted whatsoever, not now, not in decades to come, until they will be trustworthy, decent human beings in a position of elites in the West, right? Which might actually never happen, but let's hope that at least in decades, in like 3-4 decades, societies in the West will manage to do something about it. Let's hope so. But right now, Lavrov is very clear that it is going to be tremendously difficult to basically deal with the collective West because of this exactly this absence of trust. And probably you all would agree with Lavrov, right? If you were on a position of Russian leadership, would you be able to trust representatives of the collective West countries after everything they did? I don't think so, right? Even if you wanted very much to reach some agreements and to have trust in place, you just would not be able to believe them. I mean, it is what it is. But anyways, let's continue, dear friends. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó stated at the meeting in the Netherlands, in the NATO summit in Netherlands, that the final decision of the NATO summit no longer includes the phrase about the irreversibility of the Ukraine's path to join their alliance, phrase that was present in last year's Washington summit statement. Okay, maybe in final statement, communique, or whatever they're gonna sign up for, will have no such a phrase in it. But Rutte, for example, Secretary General of NATO, said that Ukraine will join NATO. He said it like yesterday. That was, isn't it? So they're continuing to pushing this narrative of Ukraine joining NATO, anyways. So does it really matters what kind of phrases they have in the paperwork? I don't know. I don't think so, right? And when it comes to Ukrainian crisis itself, TASS news agency is reporting that Russian troops liberated Dileevka settlement in a DPR, So progress of special military operation continues. I'm quite sure today we will receive information about additional settlements that were liberated by Russian forces. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that Ukrainian armed forces control now less than 0.5% of their territory of the LPR, Lugansk People's Republic, and I guess, I'm not even gonna guess, but probably, I mean, how long it will take before Russia will completely liberate LPR? I mean, you tell me, dear friends, it's not gonna be too long, right? So soon LPR is going to be completely liberated. Also, Vzгляд newspaper is reporting that yesterday Russian forces conducted long-range precise strike with their four Iskander ballistic missiles on military industrial complex of Kiev regime in Dnipropetrovsk region. According to reports, one of their facilities were seriously damaged. Facilities that was used by Kiev regime for drone production and other military activity. And also there was a powerful strike in Kramatorsk on military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime. On your screen right now, you can see aftermath of that arrival. I mean, it was a huge explosion, isn't it? And some military infrastructure of Kiev regime was seriously damaged, if not completely destroyed. Also, by the way, when it comes to military industrial complex, we have this report this morning that Rostec has delivered another batch of new 4++ generation Su-35S fighter jets to Russian aerospace forces, which is a great news, of course.
Hello everyone, I hope you find informative and useful this short clip from main news update, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. It might help to deal with the algorithm and reach wider audience. And if you like my work in general and want to support to save this media project, you can assist through several ways. You can donate to this project through PayPal platform or Boosty, also with crypto currencies, or you can subscribe to my Patreon page and page on Boosty, where I have quite a lot of extra content on regular basis. All the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to everyone who already helped and continues to support. Thank you.